6,000 students that were homeless for other reasons. What is that other? Because this doesn't help me at the state to have a really good picture of what those 6,000 are going through. So make sure that when you are flagging the students in your student information system and you're providing the reason, because there are codes for each of those things, that you're doing everything possible not to select other. Because I guarantee you they're probably falling within those other categories that exist. And if it's something that does not exist, please, please let us know. But 90%, and I'm talking about before, you know, the hurricanes, before the winter storms, the floods, we were still having the same problem with just marking other, or I think it's 99. So we want to make sure we stay away from 99 as much as possible and actually take the time to figure out why these students are being considered homeless and what can we do to help them. So why are you here? Why did your LEA feel the need to hire a homeless liaison for this position? Because of the 9,000 that exist. We've already showed you, we've already shared with you that these kids are experiencing a lot of trauma. They're experiencing the lack of permanent housing. They're experiencing, in many cases, extreme poverty. They're experiencing domestic violence. In a lot of cases, physical and mental health is being compromised. And just plain old neglect. That's why we have homeless liaisons. That's why you're here, to ensure that the schools are not closing the doors on those children because they don't have their immunization records or they don't have the proper paperwork filled out. Homelessness, the law requires, and I'm not going to say it just yet, just type it in the chat box if you know what I'm getting ready to say. It's 2 words of why we should not hold a child back if they don't have that paperwork. What does the law require? Thank you. There it is. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, NSOTO. Thank you, Pam. Immediate enrollment. You know what? We're saying bring these babies in, get them into a classroom, get them into a seat so that they can learn, and we'll take care of all of that additional stuff later. But right now, we need to get them into the classroom where they're most safe, where they're not being held behind, because we know the key to escaping homelessness is an education. So if we want to give them an opportunity to do better, to be better, we have to get them in school. So once again, we should not be hearing, well, that's not how we do things in our district. That's not how we do things at our school. What does the federal law require? And it's immediate enrollment. If you need a copy of the law, I've done my best to ensure that every liaison has a copy, but if for some reason you don't and you need it, please type in the chat box, I need a copy of the law, and we will email it to you following this session so that you can have at your disposal to refer to help. For those of you that are veteran liaisons, we want to ensure that you are not experiencing or entangled with compassion fatigue. And that is a condition characterized by emotional and physical exhaustion, leading to a diminished ability to empathize or feel compassion for others. You know, so many people, they forget, or maybe they've never experienced it, but we have to be careful. Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do that? this parent wants that, she's not really homeless. Don't get me wrong, there may be cases where you have some parents trying to get over it. They're trying to milk the system, and hey, if you have that stellar academic program going on at your school and parents are doing whatever they need to do to try to get in, that's awesome to have that problem. But I will assure you that in most cases, it's actually embarrassing to have to tell someone that we're homeless. In most cases, that parent, we just saw the numbers, they're homeless because of an illness. They're not proud about that. So just remember, kids first. Have a heart. If you are to err on the side of the child. And then we can figure out all the other stuff later. But immediate enrollment, if you don't take anything else away, new liaisons, 4 months, 7 months in, immediate enrollment. And we figure everything else out. The role of the homeless liaison, we're not going to read all of this, but I want you to know they exist. It's about 10 things that you should be doing as a liaison. They're outlined in the statute, federal law. Like I said, we will be sending it out for those that need it, that don't have it. You should be identifying the students. And like I said, you do that through those forms. If you don't know where the student residency forms are or the referral forms, they're posted on our website. Louisiana Believes under the homeless section, it's all there. It should be in every enrollment packet. You should ensure that, once again, they're actually able to enroll, they're attending, then they're able to succeed. You're doing what's needed to give them the educational services that are needed. You're sending out maybe referrals. No, you can't pay for their dental services, but hey, you can send them and get them connected with the appropriate services that exist out there. Making sure that the parents know that McKinney Vento exists, that there is an option, that there is help. They should know who you are. If for some reason you find out that, you know what, this is really not a homeless situation, you should be letting them know they have the right to a formal dispute if they are not agreeing with your decision. But of course, your decision should be in writing, explaining why you've deemed them not homeless. Now, of course, we don't become Investigator Jack. We don't do that. We don't put on our sunglasses and our trench coats and jump in our tinted window cars and drive around the neighborhood spying on parents. That's not what we were put in place to do. But through conversations, maybe through a home visit at some point, you could deem that, okay, this is not a homeless situation. I've talked to maybe several people, it's not adding up. So yeah, you know, you're really not living at this address. You're driving the kids there in the morning, you're dropping them off to grandma's house and they're wanting to ride the bus. Okay, you need to explain that to the parent. This is why we've made that decision in writing. And then let that parent know you have the right to appeal. You have the right, because giving them an opportunity to explain, because sometimes it may not be the way it might look. But you give them the right to explain. And then if for some reason you still can't come to an agreement, or they're just absolutely not accepting that, that's when it comes up to the state level. The Dr. Hunter, Laverne Dunn, we should not be your first point of contact. You should be working with that parent as much as possible to resolve the issue before it gets to the state level. You should be ensuring that the kids have transportation services that are needed if for some reason that's an issue or presenting a barrier for the kid to get to school. In many cases, if the kid is, going away from the school of origin for whatever reason, you're having to work with the transportation department to figure out how to split the cost between districts. If they're traveling back and forth between districts, that's what the homeless liaison does. All that's outlined in the law that I'll be sending over. And of course, providing professional development. I can't tell you enough. The stronger your professional development is with your staff, with the teachers, with the secretary, your first point of contact for most parents, the easier your job will be as a homeless liaison. But when the training does not exist, you will have problems because there's just the lack of knowledge. They don't know, they don't get it. That parent's not living under a bridge. Remember that, those misconceptions that exist? So they're not homeless. They don't understand doubled up. That's when you as a homeless liaison have to know what you're talking about to get them to understand that. In a nutshell, what should you be doing as a liaison? Well, we have a thing called the planning worksheet for Louisiana. It's specific to us that has all the duties there. And this is really a guide to make you, to ensure that you are staying on track with your role as the liaison. And on this planning worksheet, it tells you what the duty is. It gives you a space to write, how are you going to address that particular duty during the year? When are you going to address it? Is it something you need to do in April? Is it something you need to do in August? So you put down your time frame and then who needs to be involved. So it's a very simple form, but it helps to keep you on track. And it is something that every liaison submits to the State Department at the beginning of the school year. If you're a new homeless liaison and you want to know what's been submitted or you don't have a copy of that planning worksheet, because that's really your plan of action, please contact us. Laverne, can you please type the email address in the chat box and we will get you a copy of your planning worksheet that exists. Or if you have not completed it this year because you, for some reason, was unaware that you were supposed to do it, please contact us so that we can get you a copy of the planning worksheet. You should also be providing, like I said, PD to your teachers, administrators, or other essential staff. Some of our districts, they utilize McKinneyVento.org. That is a vendor that provides professional development online training. So if you have bus drivers that need to know about their role in the transportation sector, they can log on and take the transportation session or class, very short, and ask them a few questions at the end to check for comprehension. Secretaries, they have a session just for secretaries. It used to be called Kickstand, but now it's McKinneyVento.org. That's one way. If you don't want to go that route, you can stick to the old-fashioned way. Present it yourself or call us here at the State Department and we can try our best, but due to COVID restrictions right now, we're not really allowed to travel. But in normal situations, we would be able to come out and provide the training for you or assist you with the training, should I say. You must be ensuring that your LEA is budgeting a minimum of $100 per homeless student. Because we say, okay, if you're supposed to be helping the children, how do we do it? Where does the money come from? You have a Title I set aside that exists. And I tell all homeless liaisons $100 is the bare minimum. It's not enough, but you have to start somewhere. So if you have 100 homeless students in your district or your school, If you're a charter school, then it should be times 100. If you have 5 homeless students, times 100. But most allocate more. You must ensure, so that's where your bucket of money comes from to assist your children. You must ensure that the homeless children and youth are being identified, enrolled in our attending school. You must ensure you are flagging your students in your student information system. There's a code, once again, once they enroll, you should be marking them as, okay, this, because of what has been reported on the residency form or the student questionnaire, because it has been reported, now we're going to do a follow-up with the parent to ensure that it's indeed a homeless situation, because you have some parents that might say they're homeless and they're not because they didn't fully understand it, or might say that they're not, but they may be, because they're thinking, well, I'm not living on the street, so I'm not homeless, but they don't understand the whole doubled up component. You must be providing services for your students and families and following up. Now, this last one is super important, super important. Like I said, we're all registering kids, getting them enrolled, but are we following up with the child once they're enrolled, ensuring that all the needs are being met? Quality, no. We're shooting for equity. So you can't say, you know what, I'm going to give every child a backpack, every child a uniform, and every child some school supplies, and I've done my job as a liaison. Absolutely not. There are different needs for different people. A child who's homeless because the parent is sick may need something completely different from a child that is homeless because they were fleeing a domestic violence situation. It's not one silver bullet. We have people out here to help you. We have a homeless advisory council that exists here in the state, and these individuals, because it may be intimidating, especially for new liaisons, to reach out to the State Department with the question, because no one wants to seem inadequate for their, during their duties. But this is someone that's on your level. They are homeless liaison. They're out there in the trenches with you each and every day. They understand it way better than I could ever understand at the State Department. And they're willing and able to help you. And it's broken into sections. So whatever your LEA or district falls under, you can see the person at the top that would be your point of contact. And of course, all of our homeless liaisons' email addresses are on the Louisiana Believes website under the homeless. Aisha's putting her contact information in the chat box. Thank you. Any other homeless advisory council members that are on the call this morning, could you please put your contact information as well? It'll make it much easier. In Orleans, that's a different type of beast. We have Aisha and Carol, because we have a lot of charter schools, and that's a lot for one person. So between Aisha and Carol, we'll find out who can be your regular point of contact. And they should have, Carolyn, can you put your email address? They should have already reached out to you at some point to introduce themselves. But if not, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. We talked about how do you support the children. We said, I told you, you should have $100 minimum set aside to support. There's also the option of being a McKinney Vento subgrantee. Every 3 years, we have a big bucket of money that is put out that you can apply for. Your LEA can apply for it to service your students. Because you may say, we don't have a lot of money in Title I. But the subgrant, we just awarded our new cohort. And those are the individual, those LEAs are the ones, the recipients of the grant for the next 3 years. But in 2023, we will be announcing our the next application. and you will be able to apply if that's something that is of interest to you. But we don't do it, you know, it's every 3 years, so it's not every year, every 3. So that is how, once again, you provide for your students. Now, what are you spending the money on? These are the allowable activities, okay? You can see they're all listed here. You can see what I've listed as need more of. We do, once again, in the yellow, we do a really good job of school supplies and uniforms. But we're wanting to move past, go beyond the normal, the typical things that we spend funding on. And focus on maybe those green areas where I said we need more of those particular areas. These allowable activities can be found in the law. Just because you're homeless doesn't mean it's an end-all be-all for the child. Give them hope. Hope is important. These are individuals at some point in their life that have experienced homelessness, and they're millionaires, billionaires. But it's because of people like you that every child got that right to attend school, that every child got the services that were needed, that their children will be able to rise in the midst of all the adversities that they're facing. That's why your job is so important. To give them the hope that's needed to be successful. That's why we have to do more than just give them a uniform. That's why we have to do more for that child that fears for their life every single night, that don't know where their next meal is going to come from, that's sleeping in a car. They need much more than just uniform. Professional development that exists to aid you in your journey of providing services to the students, because we don't want you to be out, you know, feel like you're out there by yourself, because you're absolutely not. We have McKinneyVento.org that we've purchased at the state level for all homeless liaisons. So all homeless liaisons is free to you. You just need to get your login information. We need to get you registered so that you can start taking your classes. It's a 10 lessons. We ask that, you know, you pass them with at least an 80% rate, because it, you know, at the very end, they have a few questions to ensure that you learned the content that you're supposed to learn. And we ask that you have your training, your sessions completed by May 31st of this year. So if you're new, we need to get you signed up for level. There are, you know, we have level 2, we have a COVID training for our veteran. There's some other things, but that exists. Outside of you purchasing, now the training, if you want to use it for your essential staff, your other people, you have to pay for that out of your own budget. But the training for you, we've already taken care of that here at the state level. Other resources that are out there, it would be remiss of me not to mention our national organization. This is like the #1 first point of contact where you go. There are tons of resources out there that exist for you. The National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth. You can go there. There are webinars available all the time. Those are free. You don't have to pay for those webinars. You can attend, and as well as Schoolhouse Connection. That is another partner organization that we utilize for webinars and trainings and everything that NCH does, as well as our NACI does, as well as Schoolhouse Connection, is aligned to the federal law. So you will know you'll be getting quality professional development. Here are some links that you will be able to go to to get some additional information, here's the link to the law. Let me see if I can do that. When I send it out, you'll be able to click on it and to give you access to the law and all the things that you would need to help you. So, next steps. I want you to reach out to your Homeless Advisory Council member with any questions you may have, maybe to introduce yourself. A lot of them put their contact information in the chat box, so you have it right there. Let them know who you are, and like I said, they're there for your day-to-day issues. Okay, contact them before you contact me. I am happy to help you. I didn't have my coffee this morning. I'm happy to help you. However, I don't have a very large team here at the State Department. And so, of course, you can imagine I'm stretched thin. So these individuals are my right-hand people, along with Laverne Dunn, to be able to assist with any questions. Make sure you're contacting your data management coordinator to make sure you are flagging your students correctly in the system. You will learn more about EdLink later. That's going to be our new system for next year. You want to make sure you check on the progress that they're making to ensure that your system for your LEA will be ready to be launched in August, because the old system is going away. And it's a particular thing that the vendor, your vendor, has to do. If it's J Campus, if it's Power School, East, whatever it might be, you want to make sure that they are on track to get that ready. And then ensure you are completing your lessons in McKinneyvento.org and having those completed by May 31st. So, I'd like to thank you for the time we've spent this morning. We have about 3 minutes remaining. Are there any questions that I need to address at this time? Going once? Going twice? Oh, I'm really excited now. Done. Okay. Well, if there are no questions, I guess that means that I either did a really good job or I scared you guys to death. I don't know. But welcome aboard. Like I said, I'm happy to have you guys be a part of our homeless liaison training, McKinney Vento 101. I will be sending out the deck to you after the training today, because we're going to send them all together in one big package. So you're not, well, I got this one, but I didn't get this one. We're going to put them all together. So give me some time. It's coming. But I wanted you to hear it from me first, and then think about it, meditate on it, how you can exit this session and become the greatest homeless liaison in the state of Louisiana. Be recognized like our homeless liaison of the year, Amy Fontenot, who will be presenting in the COVID panel discussion. You'll be able to hear some great things that she's doing. So we do recognize the wonderful things that you guys do each and every day. I know it's not easy. I know it's hard sometimes, but you know, the benefit is to help another child become that next famous person that you saw on the slide, and it's going to be because of you, that you didn't give up on them, that you didn't exercise compassion fatigue. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back at 10:10 with Jan Moore and Yatisha Blythe with the unaccompanied youth and FAFSA discussion.